Recording in progress.
Where was I?
Shall we raise our hands or shall we say aye?
Just raise your hands, please. All those opposed? It's approved. Thank you. Now I see that Access Humboldt has joined us, so that's what distracted me there for a moment. Okay, the treasurer's report. We don't have Ren here as of yet, but Kai, do you have that number?
They don't have it available. I only thing I can tell you is it hasn't changed from last month because, in my knowledge, there's no activity.
So then you would have, wouldn't you?
It's in
your minutes.
Well, the last one we said that we didn't have them because Ren didn't have the information. So that would be for June. It would be in the priors minutes.
Okay, we'll do an updated report here.
Yeah.
At our
I
September.
don't think I have that.
The one thing I can add is this was another fluke of the month. I got a an email from Access Humboldt requesting payment, and they said they had submitted a bill 4 different times to the commission, and I said, "Well, I haven't seen it." And they were sending it to 812 4th Street, which is the law library address. Why they didn't forward it to anybody else, I don't know. But I took it upon myself to go in and have Ian make payment on that expense. It's for the hate speech meeting we had in March. So it should be paid very soon. Thank you, Access Humboldt.
Sorry, did you want me to roll call?
That would be a good idea, since I'm off to a shaky start here.
It's over under.
Yes, we do need roll call.
Bird, we're present, and Jim,
Here.
present, and Rick,
Present.
and Guy is present, and Ellen, I am present. Carol, did anyone hear?
She's absent.
Absent. And Larry, is he still sick? Larry
said he was going to join us on Zoom. He is sick.
Okay.
It's excused if he's not here.
Okay. And Nazanin?
She's absent.
Absent. Jamie? Oops.
She's excused.
Okay. Holly?
She's absent.
Absent. Lisa?
Absent.
Absent. And Ren?
Absent.
Okay.
As of right now.
Okay. We do have a quorum.
Okay. Good. This week we do not have any guest speakers. We will have Fernando Paz at our next September meeting. Oh, Larry is here. Or he's about to be here.
He's on Zoom.
That's the new function of Zoom that does the.
That's a new twist. I didn't really try it on purpose. It just happened.
Does Larry have to do anything to be audible? I know most people are muted, but is he also?
Larry, just a test. Can you try to say something, Larry? We can't. You're muted.
You're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Very clear.
Okay.
Oh.
We will not mark you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Is that all we got?
6 counting you.
6 with you.
Oh, I see. Okay, we got a quorum, I
Your
guess.
picture.
Yeah, we do. Right. Okay, Larry, for your information, we just redid the agenda to have a discussion about the neutral observers and rapid response as new business later in the meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Did I get it wrong? I thought that people on Zoom did not count toward the quorum.
They don't count toward them, and they cannot vote either.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Larry, we'll welcome your input when we get to that point, but at that point, we will not be able to have you vote on whatever we decide to do.
That's fine. I'm good.
Okay, all right, moving right along. Public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment? I am amazed. Okay. And a reminder, public comment on agenda items. Members of the public each will be allowed to speak on agenda items once during discussion. At the end of the commissioner comments and prior to any action by or vote by the commission. In the event of hateful, threatening, or unnecessarily negative comments, the chair will mute and admonish one or all commenters that they may be further muted if they persist in such actions. Time to speak will be closely monitored at 3 minutes per person. Next item on the agenda is commission communications. Are there any commissioners that have anything to share?
Well, I can share one little thing. This is probably a good place to do it. Just real briefly, I do take morning walks, and one of my regular walks, there is a homeless man who is limited to a wheelchair. And I've had little conversations with him, but he just, but when I asked why he was here, he says, well, he's just waiting for housing to be available. And I was really curious about that. And so I just checked around a little bit. Housing for a person in a wheelchair. With Betty Jim, what they said is that all of her homes have at least 2 steps that a person needs to be able to do. And they suggested to talk to, say, Silvercrest. They suggested talking to Silvercrest and Tid Avenue, which is both for seniors and for handicap. I talked also to Arcata House Partnership, and they said that when I inquired about Valley West, they said, well, there are some handicap accessible units, but there's a long waiting list for that to get into. I checked with St. Vincent de Paul, they've got public showers, nothing else. I checked with the rescue mission, they've got showers, no housing unless the person gets into their training program. So what occurred to me is that, Arcata House Partnership suggested Adult Protective Services, that Adult Protective Services could find housing for a person, although it might be out of the area. But it struck me that there's really very limited opportunities for persons in a wheelchair who are homeless to get into a secure housing situation. So I'm just passing that on. But certainly if anyone has any suggestions or comments, I'm open to alternative solutions.
There was no indication that his disability was specifically the reason. I mean, did you suspect there might be other reasons why he's not able to get housing?
Part of it may be that he does like independence, and I'm not sure how committed he is. So but what I was asking as well, what are the opportunities, for a person with a wheelchair? And this person did have some he went across the street to a gas station, and they finally got so tired of his panhandling that they excluded him. So I mean, he also has some strong feelings, and he can express himself pretty strongly too. But in terms of just wheelchair accessibility, it's very limited.
That sounds like something the homeless behavioral health committee might follow up on it.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of places they can get touch. Don't know what's going on, why. If he's not getting in touch with people.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Rick. Any other, yes,
Just that Peter Pennicamp said that he had applied for the commission, and I assume that he'll be approved if it goes in place.
he communicated and I encouraged him to fill out the application.
He said he's already done it. I mean, after
I will follow that.
yeah. So it would be a really good member of the commission, and I would assume there would be no reason why he would not be approved.
Yeah, we have, he and one other person are currently in the application stage, so we'll have a couple of the empty seats refilled. And by the way, Carol has joined us, Larry, so we're up to 7 people this evening. Okay. The one thing I wanted to mention is I'd like to get together after the meeting is over, and I don't think this will be a long meeting. Maybe with Carol and Bird and Rick to take a look at our filing cabinet, which is on the other side of that door. The CAO is ready to do other things with that space, and I looked in the drawers. I have some of the stuff at my home, but a lot of paperwork, including written complaints dating back to 1975, are in there, and we have to decide what we're going to do with it.
So they're kicking us out. They're not going to give us any storage.
Well, I said, is there any storage downstairs in the basement? And she didn't recommend that it was a good option. And I said, well, neither is it going with any particular person, because those roles change. And so it's something we need to take a look at and decide, can this material be destroyed at this point after all these years, or do we still need it? And that's something I'd love for us to take a few minutes. And I just realized that door's now locked, and we're not going to get in there anyway. Well, we'll have to have this discussion. But
Which door?
the one on the right,
Yeah, I'm sure it's locked.
you know,
Okay.
I locked it myself.
Without a key.
No, they don't trust me with a key.
I'll get a hammer and screwdriver. Don't think I'll love you for that.
All right. Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. Larry has been ill. This will kind of coincide with the message line report that I have. Every call I had during the 2 weeks that I was on was a jail-related call, every single one. And there were 6 altogether. 2 of those 6 were from the same person. And I know you are trying to make some contact about that.
I've made some contact. I'm going back and forth with Bryce about setting up phone calls. The one that ended up happening at this point, I've talked to this person before, and the person just wants to which I would believe that they were hired for, which is express
That's not
frustration. And I'm happy to come to that for sure. He's working on setting that on other shots. I think a couple of them had already been released.
So
Nobody knew there.
And Carol, since you're on the phones now, there's nothing to carry over. So you're starting with a clean slate.
Everything, you're like, oh, good.
All right. Well, thank you both. Okay.
Jim?
Yes.
Jim, excuse me. I did email Bryce this afternoon and told her that I was back in the saddle and would begin taking the mail calls.
Well, you may need to communicate with either Ellen and or Bryce to find out where we stand on those calls that we had taken before.
Okay. So, the audio is there's a little bit of delay, and it's making it real difficult for me to understand what folks are saying. I don't hope that, I don't know why that is, but it is. So I'll try to do the best I can.
Okay, you seem to be coming through fine. I'm not sure why there's a delay otherwise, but from us, but
Do we
Yeah.
need to talk loud, Larry? Is that?
It's maybe a little bit louder and a little bit slower, I guess. My hearing is not the greatest, but I should be able to hear everybody. So I was just mentioning that if I have difficulty in a specific spot, I'll let you guys know and maybe repeat yourself. I apologize for that, but that's the way it is.
thank you for that. And do touch base with Ellen regarding the calls that we're dealing with from the last few weeks.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. While we're on that subject, we have October 1st and October 16th available for anybody that would like to volunteer to be on the phones. You're occupied in October, I know.
Very much so.
That's my problem too.
I can do one.
You want to do the first one, Rick?
I could do the last one.
You can do the last? Okay, that's great. Okay. Standing committee. And the first one is Sanctuary Ordinance Committee.
I think there's nothing to report other than the fact that Fernando is going to be here next meeting, and I assume we can have a pretty good presentation from him. And I'm hoping he'll be able to do it in person, although I did give him the option.
Okay. Very good. Next item would be ad hoc committee reports, cultural awareness and indigenous people. Carol, is there anything?
You know, I did talk to Lisa. She said she was going to resign. But
I'm not entirely surprised, but I haven't heard that from her. So,
because I saw her at an event, and that's what she told me, but until she does, she's still on this. And I was gonna ask if someone could take the lead on that. I'm so busy. Traveling a lot for my tribe, and
let's see if we, between now and the next meeting, we get anybody that would like to step forward and would you still be willing to serve on the committee?
oh yeah, it's just that you take the lead.
And we also have a technology report. Unfortunately, Nazanin is not with us this evening. And what's new there is that we have approval from the county to reestablish our Facebook presence. And Ren was very interested in joining that committee, partially for the social media presence, but also from a marketing point of view. She pointed out that at the Pride event in Southern Humboldt, our booth was rather stale and didn't have anything interactive to do with the public, whereas other booths and tabling groups had something to entice the guests with something of interest. And so she wants to contribute that way. And I think we're going to have to give that committee a little bit of time to do that. Next committee report would be the free speech and hate crimes. Rick?
Okay. I was a little bit surprised at the committee name. I thought, I didn't realize it was free speech versus hate crimes. Is that what?
That's hate speech.
What would be the correct?
Versus, I mean, free speech versus hate speech? Because
We never had crimes.
we never had crimes before.
Oh,
All right, let's correct that going forward then.
might be.
I mean, we'd like to avoid the crimes, frankly. I mean, just.
I agree.
Is already,
I
you know,
agree.
and it's challenging. So briefly, we are still interviewing people in the community who are outside of the commission and offer the committee to get broader ideas on how we can approach the issue of hate speech and versus free speech, looking at ways of both, in a sense, helping to identify, giving the public tools to work with it. We're still interviewing people. We have our next meeting on Monday, on August 5th. And I would like to, actually, most people are on the committee are here. I would like to maybe after that meeting, or after we talk to Bob Rothenberg and the Shaheen, is to maybe ourselves discuss a little bit if there are, if we'd like to invite some of the people with whom we have interviewed to perhaps participate in a more long-term with the committee. So that's something that I'll mention as with the next announcement. But I'm hoping that we can maybe, after this final set of interviews, get a solid, maybe a little bit of an expanded committee, and then to begin a more direct process on what we would like to develop for the public in the coming months.
Very good. Any questions for Rick?
It just the meeting is on the 5th at
And
12
at 12 noon,
and it's Zoom.
it's Zoom.
That's what I got.
Jim sent the Zoom link out and I will send it out once more again, just because I always need to get another reminder because I always misplace stuff.
Can we go back to the cultural awareness?
Sure.
I want to thank Guy for sending the link to the CBC Bible Advisory meeting. You would think that the healthcare system, we would have got a notice, and I hadn't seen any notice like that. And I know it's late for us to attend because we have tribal representatives on UIHS, and we usually send them to that type of meeting. So I did send it to the chairperson and the CEO, asking to get on the list
Oh, good, yeah.
to receive that. My other thought too is with the facilitating of cultural awareness and activities in the county. With that, there are events that are coming up. There will be one at College of the Redwoods. It's a healing one. And I wonder if we could, like, that's the place we would have like a tabling.
When is that event?
I just got the
And what's the title of it?
I just got the notice. But those are the types of things that I know of. And then up at there's going to be the Salmon Festival, and there's a lot. We could have tabling at the Salmon Festival. There's I just thought about all these. If it's facilitating of cultural awareness, if they're not aware probably of the Humboldt County Human Rights Commission itself. Let's see.
Here, while she's looking, if it's okay, I'd like to move up here and kind of join the group. I feel like I'm sort of sitting up.
Please feel free. You can switch it out. We don't want you to feel like an outcast.
Well, I mean, there's many good reasons why I often have been in that state, but let's see if I can't sneak in this a little closer here.
Sure.
It's called Healing Together Summit.
That's at CR.
It'll be at CR, and it's August 20th and 21st. So with the group's consensus, I can bring it up to the organizers of this, it's United Indian Health is putting it on, but it's the staff that I would need to ask if we could have a table there. They'll probably say yes, but I mean, that's something that
I think we could entertain a motion to take that action.
I think that would, I so move.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we instruct Carol to contact UAIHS regarding participating as in the tabling situation.
yeah, I can do that.
Great, that's good. Oh, shall we vote? All those in favor, please indicate by C. It's unanimous, thank you. Do you have any information on the Salmon Festival?
It's coming up. We know the date.
It's in around the same time, on the 18th or something.
It's around there.
We might have to pick and choose.
The
Well, it's always on a weekend and.
yeah, it is. It's on
Yeah.
a Saturday.
Gotta make sure you wear hot hats and sunscreen, that's all I know.
I know.
It's usually hot over there.
I have a pop-up.
In light of what you said just a few minutes ago, maybe we should talk about something that would be, that we would have there, or something we would do to have people be more involved or more interested in what we're doing, even if it's something like here's a question, if you can answer it, put it in here, and we're going to draw something, and we have a small prize or something. I don't know, just something to get people
Oh, yeah.
thinking about who we are and what we're
And up
doing.
there you would want canned salmon, anything that has to do with
Fishing.
fishing, acorn.
Oh.
It could be anything like that. And I probably could get something donated so that we could have that, because that would go.
If you could find the date for that, not necessarily this minute, but share it with me. So I can communicate. As long as it's not coming up immediately.
Yeah, so it wouldn't collide with
Which day?
CRs, because CR is in the middle of the week, so that's weekend, August 17th.
August 17th, yeah.
August 17th.
Yeah, so we'd have
The
to.
Salmon Festival held.
Klamath, isn't
It's
it?
up in Plymouth.
It's in Klamath, okay.
So we have to contact the Yurok tribe. I usually try to have a booth. So if I get a booth, they
Carol,
would have half.
if you'll do the Healing Together Summit contact,
I'm gonna-
I'll try to do the Yurok tribe contact. We'll try to make both happen.
Okay, we're in contact Wendy right now.
If we have a table, I will try to be at one of those for tabling. I think I might be able to, one of those dates.
Okay. All right, next item would be homeless behavioral health. We had a brief discussion earlier about the ADA situation for housing. Is there anything else?
No, I do think, I know you mentioned in your email about meeting, I think the only hesitancy I've had on meeting is waiting to see what's gonna happen with the state, because it just seems like it's a mess right now. With the Supreme Court decision, and then you got the governor talking about doing much of what they've done before, kick the can down the road, so, push everybody off. I think it might be time to invite the sheriff and our local police again, and talk about how we're supposed to deal with it. Maybe schedule really a big group, DHSS and whatever, because everybody seems to be passing the buck, saying we don't know, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. It's already August, and winter's coming again. We have always major concerns about people on the street in the wintertime. And I was talking to the guy over here doing security, telling me that, he and his wife are working full time and can barely get housing. So, it's a bad situation.
It is.
And I'm not sure, what these guys are doing other than the fact that everybody's telling, well, we're waiting for the state, we're waiting for the court. And it's like, well, great. So when are we going to solve this, in 50 years?
Do you think an invitation to the sheriff or the,
Well, I'd like to, it's interesting, Carol mentioned Lisa. One of the things that Lisa brought up months ago was the shooting that took place, I think it was with a CHP. And I brought that up to the attention of the sheriff, and he said it was being reviewed, whatever they, do by the independent person. 2 months, 3 months went by. I think he thought I forgot about him or whatever. I wrote him again saying what's going on. He says, we still haven't heard anything. It's been now 2 or 3 months again. I think it's time, that they must have had a report by now. So maybe it's just a good time to bring the sheriff in anyway, to talk about in general what's going on and how they're dealing with, a lot of these issues.
not to load up your plate, but since you have sort of a dialogue going with him, do you mind seeing if he would be able to attend our October meeting?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless he's got a problem, he's already volunteered to come. And I know he's always, very willing. I'm not sure whether we'll get a lot of information in, because again, it's like I said, they're all waiting on, the government what they're supposed to do. But it kind of fits in also what, Rick's talking about is that we have a program here in Eureka that what is it, a MIST program, where, you try to bring in other than law enforcement dealing with people, or, what's the situation with that? Is that going to continue? Is that going to disappear? And so these are things, we could certainly bring up. And
Well, let's go ahead and extend an invitation specifically for October.
okay.
And I know that will be well into the fall, but
Mhm. And a guy along with that, when the sheriff comes, I know that if you go to Old Town, I have witnessed several times people urinating right in the open. And
Second Street.
yeah, what can be done about that? Or, I mean, even this the cleanliness and the sanitation. It's,
there are public restrooms, but if they're not getting used,
no, they're just like if you walk down to the stores down there, they may be sitting or resting in front of a building, and then they'll just get up and urinate.
that's kind of hard to do much about human behavior that way.
But I was thinking more of the health concerns and what, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. That's fair.
All right, next item on the agenda is the Human Rights Commission. Jamie was going to try to join us by Zoom, but I haven't seen any sign that she is there. She's out of the area right now. Basically, I had contacted her to try to follow up more with the youth group. They're active, but there's some work yet to be done to solidify their operating structure and how they communicate with us. We don't want to dictate to them how they're going to do their job, but I do think we ought to understand how they're going to do their job. And so she pledged that she would get on this immediately when she gets back to to attend their next Zoom meeting, whenever that is, and then probably to extend an invitation to one of their representatives to join us here or on Zoom to give us an update on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I might add a remark to that too. When I was talking to Fernando Just Sage program that they have at the university might be something that might fit in with this as well. It's to some degree.
Oh, good.
Because that's, I mean, obviously it's college level, but I can't imagine that there will be a pipeline between the high school and college.
Well, the age group for this youth organization is 14 to 22.
Perfect.
So it should fit.
Yeah, because I know one of the suggestions I made to Fernando, not too much about what he's doing, but what Lily was explaining to me was I told him I thought it would be great if we could get some of the people that he's working at the college to actually participate with us here. So whether it's, directly getting appointed or as some kind of an auxiliary person sitting around a regular presentation from people that are, the young people, what's concerning them. I mean, Carol, make a comment, just some concern here. What about our kids? I'm sure they have good things. It's nice to be hearing from that as well. So,
Yeah, that's true.
What's missing from our community. I mean, every time I, drive through, I'm sitting there going, the university wants to grow. And I said, well, it better provide stuff for students. Otherwise, why come?
Okay. Since we agreed to move 2 items to new business, which was the next 2 committees. I would like to start with unfinished business. There was a question raised at a meeting or 2 ago, where a person was concerned about flags being displayed in courthouse windows. And we didn't really know what to do about it at the time. But I didn't want the person to think that we had just dropped it. We didn't. I talked to the Board of Supervisors, and because of the location of the flag, which it could be any flag, but it happens to be a Jewish flag or an Israeli flag, the complaint said that the Board of Supervisors ought to enforce its policies regarding displays of partisanship anywhere on the property. The problem is, however, that the window that this flag is being displayed from is in the district attorney's office, and she is an elected official who is in charge of her own facility. So the Board of Supervisors says that it's her job to police her employees. And I think the next step might be for me to reach out to the district attorney and see if she has any plans to do that.
Do you know if that flag is still up?
It was yesterday.
Okay.
It's only visible from the 4th Street side. And any thoughts on what you think we ought to do, if anything?
I think you can just talk to her and say that this complaint came to the Human Rights Commission, and you understand that it is something that falls within her job description, if you like. And you would like to know if there's anything you can report back to the commission.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
Of course, if you want to be really, really nasty, you can say, well, if they want to keep that flag up there, then they should have a Palestinian flag up, same size,
Right next
same
to it.
dimension, so that, equal time, because we're all about equal time in America, apparently.
I'm sure
that'll go
first.
As in 1960s, that what was that term? It'd go up over like a Led Zeppelin, but
Larry.
So let me understand. Any of the officials that are elected officials that are in the courthouse have responsibilities for their space. So the auditor controller, if she or he had some political views that they wanted to express, they could go ahead and do that, and there was absolutely nothing that could be done about it.
I'm not saying there's nothing, but I'm being told there's nothing they can do about it. I think you bring up a good point. The district attorney is not the only one that's a separately elected official in the county. So theoretically, the problem could be a wider spread than that. So I'm going to start with the district attorney, and then we can expand from there to see. Maybe it does go back to the Board of Supervisors because they ultimately are in charge of the facility, and those windows exist within the facility. So, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I think it just goes back to essentially whether or not they're showing any partisanship, and whether somebody's going to wonder about the district attorney's office on whether they're being fair or not. Obviously, if somebody's promoting a particular philosophy, especially in line of what happened at the college.
Right.
I mean, I think that's kind of the bigger issue. I mean, I don't have any problem with somebody wanting to wave a flag, but it's a little disconcerting when it's coming from the district attorney's office.
Yeah, any other office, it might not have the same effect.
Well, I mean, it'd be like, part of the probably upset our elected clerk recorder, office, but it'd be like having a Trump or a Biden or now a Harris thing over at the voting office over there.
That could be a little inappropriate.
Sit there and go, wait a minute, this is, not appropriate for an election office, and you've got somebody who's law enforcement. I mean, obviously, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll start with reaching out to the district attorney, but this may be a broader discussion.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. I mean, it's becoming, as I'm thinking about it, this is fascinating.
Yeah, I think so.
But I mean, but you're bringing up, what you're doing, and I think you bring it up to the DA and says, hey, this is a complaint that we received. That's all. It's not that we took it on ourselves that, we're going around looking at
windows.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that will definitely happen. Next item is new business. And the idea here was to discuss the possible incorporation of, or the merging of, an existing rapid response committee into with a neutral observers committee. Larry, would you like to make some comments and then we can have a general discussion about this?
Well, at least at this point, I don't really see any particular problem. There's the whole neutral observer program needs to be fleshed out, and I think it's going to be very important for it to be successful that the community not only be aware of it, but be able to contact it if they perceive a situation that would warrant, observers. I don't really see how the rapid response. The only thing I can think of is that if there was some kind of a situation where some of the neutral observers were somehow involved in the rapid response and a rapid response situation. But Jim, I think you'd have a better handle on those kind of on that kind of a situation. So sorry, I don't really. I think it's a little bit too early, maybe to talk about joining them when we really don't know much about what we're going to have in terms of the neutral observer programs. So
okay, Bert and then Carol.
Larry's right, and that's why I suggested that it needs to be a committee that is responsible for producing this program of neutral observers and getting these people, training them, having them on call or whatever they are. All of that needs to be done by a committee that has nothing to do with the rapid response right now. And then at the time that it's already done and we have it in place and there's a phone tree or whatever it is, then that part needs to be integrated to the rapid response with a way of deciding, is this a rapid response that needs to be done with a statement that we have and neutral observers? And so it's two completely different things that we need to do to start with.
All right, so what you're suggesting would be that we maintain rapid response separately, as for now at least,
Yes.
and then possibly incorporate it into the neutral observers at a later date.
Yes.
Okay. Carol,
My comment would be, with this committee, because the presidential election is coming up, and there may be some volatile community participation or display. And will we be having a response to that?
that's what the committee needs to decide, is what rises to the level of the committee of the neutral observers being activated.
Mhm.
So Larry, I think that you accepted the idea of chairing the committee. It is not necessary that you be the official spokesperson for the committee, but would you like to would you like to propose a date for that committee to meet to establish what it would like to do?
Yes,
And then they can
I think that's really important. I think we have some, it sounds like we have some folks that have volunteered to at least serve or start in being involved in that, the development of the neutral observers. I'm hoping that we can do in-person meeting sometime this coming week. I think because of the election and the volatility of that, that we really do need to have something in place as soon as possible. So let's get started. I like morning meetings. I know some folks maybe that are on it can't handle mornings because they're working. Weekends, I'm good with weekends. I don't go to church on Sunday. I would certainly be available, be willing to meet on Sunday or Saturday, actually. And again, if none of that works, we'll see what the folks, come up with. I'm thinking that if who do we have now, Jim, that has volunteered?
So Jamie and myself. Now, we could open it up to one or two, well, at least one other person. If this remains an ad hoc committee, we can only add one other person. If it becomes a standing committee, it could be 5 or more.
Okay.
I don't know if we have any. Do we have anybody else? Go ahead.
I was going to say my very strong feeling is that it should be a standing committee, and so we can have as many. And again, there's some real basics that have to be met with any kind of a neutral observer program. And first of all is you've got to have at least 2 to go to any situation. It's just imperative. And the more the merrier. I was hoping that we could get 5 volunteers from the Human Rights Commission to be on it, and whether we stay inside as the human or the observers being a function of solely of the Human Rights Commission, or if we go outside as we have in the past and have it open to the community to be part of a independent observer program. These are the kind of the things that we need to discuss and like I say, what I would like is the folks that are interested to send me an email on at 3 different times and dates that they would be available to do it. I'd be happy to then orchestrate that and come on with a specific time and date. So I think that's the next step. I do have a whole some really valuable material on neutral observing. I don't know how much everybody knows about it. I'd be happy to do a little reading of a card that we had made up when it was the Independent Observer Program that we would hand out to folks in these situations that would describe who and what we are and why we were there. Can I just read a little bit of that to you folks at this point, if you want, or just,
if you wanted to do a brief summary of it, or yes, go ahead.
Okay, it says, our role as neutral observers is to be present at events such as the protests, demonstrations, and rallies that take place in Humboldt County, and to serve as witnesses of the actions and behaviors of the parties present at the event. Observers are trained to make observations, not value judgments or interpretations in the event that a situation has arisen that presents potential harm to persons or property. The observers make note of what they see. When appropriate, observers will write a report of their observations. The reports are on file and open to inspection. That's kind of what, the basic of the neutral observers. And as I said, we've got, I have a lot of training materials that was provided by the University of Oregon when we actually had hired a consultant to come down and provide some. I think they gave us 8 hours of training, but I've got most of that material, and I'm not even sure we really need to go outside of that in terms of training. But again, those are the kind of issues the committee will have to address. So questions, concerns?
Okay, Bert has a comment, but I just encourage anybody that is interested in being added to that committee to decide what direction that committee should take. Please contact Larry, and I'm sure he'd welcome that. Bert.
I just want to say something else about the committee. I don't think we can have any committee that has more than 4 on it, because 5 is a quorum. And that means that's a meeting of the commission. And we cannot do that. So there's a difference between the committee members who are going to form this program and decide everything that's happening, and all the people who are going to be the observers. And we might hope that we have 20 people that from the commission and the community and so forth. That's a completely different group of people that we're talking about. But I think for the committee, you have to stick with 4.
Well, in that case, it would have to remain an ad hoc committee.
Oh, standing committee too can't be. I mean, I don't think any of our committees can, because 5 is our quorum.
Okay. Well,
One other thought, we're going to have, I hope to have the sheriff here in October, and not that I want to assume any of our stuff to the sheriff's office, but I do think that would also be something I'd like to deal with, because
yes,
looking at what happened at HSU, we did have neutral observers over there. They were actively involved over there. Unfortunately, other than probably providing evidence to the DA, as you know, the DA has dropped almost all the cases and probably will drop the rest of them. They send it back to UPD, and I doubt very highly that anything's going to come of it. But I do think it's important because, I've been actively involved as a volunteer with OES for emergencies like we're having right now with the fires and everything, not related necessarily, but I was rather surprised when I heard from my boss over there that they got called up and called in all these cops that came, the CHP and everybody. And I'm thinking, why? And it really, I think, makes this neutral observer committee important, because quite honestly, what happened at the college got out of hand, and probably, because of ineffectual administration. And then they brought the sheriffs in, and the sheriffs came in there like we were being attacked by the Russians. It's like, what the heck? We got 300 officers over here because they had 35 people that were protesting peacefully on campus. You know, so I think we definitely need to break. You know, I don't want to lessen what we're doing, but I think that, you know, getting volunteers, I think it would be nice if we involve the sheriff's department in it, because obviously, just like with the MIST program, you know, they're going to be worried that if we have volunteers that get into something, we don't want them being in danger.
I think it's just a courtesy.
Yeah.
To the sheriff's department, that we let him know what we're doing.
Yep.
And see if he has any ideas to help.
Hang on, Larry.
My turn.
That's
My turn.
Go ahead.
Okay, number one, you know, when we're in a meeting, as far as I understand, as long as we don't make any decisions, you know, where that would require, you know, a vote, I don't see why we can have four or, you know, more than four, that we would want to take whatever kind of things we were deciding on back to the full commission anyway for approval. So again, I don't see that being an issue. And again, that's just, again, I like say, this is kind of an early stage, and I don't know that, you know, we really have much to, you know, talk about at this point. So anyway, well, however you guys want to play it, for, you know, at least if we have four that are willing, at least that's a good start. And we can, as I say, make some decisions, or at least in terms of what we think we ought to do, bring it back to the whole, and then the vote would be appropriate.
Recording
but the fact
stopped. Recording in progress.
What's going on here, Studio? Can you still hear me? What happened? You cut me off somehow. What? Did I somehow mute myself again? No. Studio Control R is what I'm seeing on my screen. Huh.
Can you hear us now?
You just came back. You just came back.
Okay.
I don't know what that was all about.
Apologies.
Somebody didn't like what I was saying.
No, it's not that. Here's my opinion. I think we should initially proceed as an ad hoc committee while we investigate any pros and cons of our quorum. And I can do that. So the bottom line is, it would still be nice in any event to add at least one person to the committee. And I've encouraged everybody in the room here to let you know if they are interested in being part of this. I do think the option of having either a weekday or a weekend meeting is a good option, because some people may be available on weekends that are not available on the weekday. So why don't you and I communicate as the week goes on, and we'll try to have an initial meeting as early as possible. So maybe perhaps next week.
Sure.
And I don't know if you probably could not hear Guy when he was sharing the idea that since we're having the sheriff, we're going to invite the sheriff to be with us in October. Perhaps he could also address some sort of a collaboration with neutral observers that we provide, and see how that fits into the equation. Yes, sir.
You know, basic protocol is that the neutral observers are, number one, that's why we need some good spokesperson. We would right off the bat need to set up a meeting with LECA, which is the Law Enforcement Chiefs Association, and let them know what we were trying to do. That would also cover all the individual city police departments, and it's really important protocol that if the neutral observers do go out, they notify the appropriate law enforcement agencies before they go. Hey, we're going to be there, and their comfort, they need to have a comfort level with the neutral observers, not to be on any, like I say, on any side, but at least know that we're good guys or girls.
Well, the League group, that would be a good way for us. We could bring that up to the sheriff to see if he could get us invited to one of their meetings. And I think that would be a good step.
At one point, Jim, in the past, the Human Rights Commissions had a liaison with LECO. That liaison would attend part of every LECA meeting, which is a monthly event, usually held up at the Coast Guard station. So anyway, yeah. So I'm just saying that, yeah, that's real critical.
Well, we'll take that step after the sheriff visits with us, and we hope he visits with us at our October meeting. And anything else you want to add on this subject prior to the initial meeting of the committee?
Just we ought to get going on it as soon as we can. So hopefully,
I think
Thanks, go back.
must be connection.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah, I'm not touching a thing.
Sure, Jim. Blame you.
I'm not either.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll call that good for this evening, and we'll communicate regarding your initial meeting, of which I will attend for sure, and Jamie and possibly one other person to get it started.
Jim, and just one other thought, I think to what Ford's talking about as far as, worrying about the Brown Act. I mean, ultimately, I think everybody who's serving on the Human Rights Commission is going to be a neutral observer. You have a committee that's going to be working on all this, but if the event occurs, then what's going to end up happening, just like with the rapid response, is everybody in this committee is going to get notified that this is going on, who can do what kind of thing.
But they need to be trained before
Right,
they be considered
exactly.
one. But yes, they could all be one, but that's what I mean. There's another group of people, which could be the commission and the wider community.
Right.
Separate from the ad hoc committee that is
Right.
developing and perfecting this program.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what we're doing, like with the JLAs on that we go through the procedure to be approved. Ultimately, everybody, I think probably that'll be serving on the commission would be approved, but we wouldn't be meeting as a group of more than 4 on anything specific, except maybe an event.
Exactly.
That actually was taking place.
So we will definitely make it work. Any other new business that I am unaware of?
Just another comment about the Rapid Response Committee, which has a current issue of integrating the use of neutral observers into the rapid response. That could be done with the criteria, the ideas, the reasons, whatever we decide, those need to be developed and put into our rapid response. And that can be done before there's actually a cadre of people doing it, because we need to decide when would it be appropriate for that group to be part of a rapid response. So that's a completely different charge to that committee from the charge to the neutral observers developing the program.
I was thinking that there's also the whole concept of the rapid response is that if something happened today, that warranted a response, we could write a letter tomorrow.
Yeah, and
A committee that's less flexible might not be able to respond for a week, and sometimes a week is just too long. So, okay, I think that's a very good point. We'll refine this as we go.
oh, yes,
All right, any other business before the commission this evening?
Did anybody add anything?
We can add to the meeting for the September meeting. Are there any agenda suggestions for the September meeting?
I don't know if it's should be on our agenda, but I have a comment regarding, and you may know with the League of Women Voters was, there was a sign-up sheet to work at the polls, election polls. And I received an email where I had to fill out this form, and it was as though I was an employee.
if you are
You
now,
are.
you will be an employee if you sign up to do it and continue with it. That's
Yeah,
what happened
I
to
got
me.
the
And that's
same
why I went through the whole thing, and you'll have to do, what, 8 different things online,
trainings.
training things online, but you get paid for all that. Do this for everybody instead of just a stipend, which they used to do.
Yeah, and so okay, so I started it, and then I thought, this isn't what we used to.
No, no, it's completely different. And I suspect it's because of some of the things that have happened in other places to election workers, and they want them to be protected. So I think it probably is for your own protection.
And
And then
it's an incentive as well.
Well, yes, that too.
and the tasks or jobs that you can do seem very limited.
Well, there are a lot of different ones. There,
Well, I only saw 3, and it was like, no, I wanted to, because I used to be in charge of
a polling place.
polling
Yeah,
place.
that's still there, I think,
Okay.
unless they filled them all. But I think probably that's still there, and they would want you if you're still willing to do that. I think they'd want.
Okay, I'll complete it. It's like,
But
the heck?
you go ahead and fill it out. You will have to go in and take your ID and all of this, prove who you are. So it was quite a process, but that's I do think it's for the protection of the workers.
Any other agenda items that anybody would like to see added to the September meeting?
Jim,
Yes,
Jim?
yes, sir. Yes.
I'm assuming the status report on the nuclear observers would be there on the agenda, right?
It will be up on the agenda to consider whatever suggestions are made.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we adjourn for the evening. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, thank you all very much for
Thank you, Joe.
enduring the technical difficulties and lack of public